Hi, I'm Gary Stennett with ARS Video and Digitize Archives. Today I'm going to go over how to work with a Moldy VHS tape, how to clean it and make it so we can digitize it. This is a customer's tape that just came in. I don't know if you can see, but there's mold throughout the tape. And I'm going to take the tape apart, show you how to clean the tape, and then put it back together. All right, first thing I'm going to do is inspect the tape. There's a lot you can learn just by looking at the tape. So you can obviously see the mold on the inside, the white mold all over it. And if I open the gate, push the button on the side to open the gate, you can see the tape is having problems also. If you look here, there's some of the magnetic resin has come off the tape. That will cause the tape to stop and rewind. Once light gets through the tape, it knows to rewind the tape. You can see the label here. It says Family Memories 92. So this is about 30 plus years old. Most VHS tapes are 30 to 40 years old. That's why they're starting to come in moldy. They were stored poorly, probably in a garage or basement. I look at the tape in general. The glass, is it broken? Are there gaps in the side so the tape is warped so it's not, won't go into a VCR. This one looks pretty clean. The tab has been pulled on this, so this person knew that if you take that tab out, you can't overwrite the tape, so they took the tab out themselves. It's a good precaution to always take the tabs out when working with the tape. Looking at the screws, there's 5 screws in the back, and this screw has rust on it. So that rust is indication of it got wet at some point. The other screws don't have any rust, so it looks like this corner may have been down in some water or some water leaked onto it. But that humidity and moisture is what caused the mold. So let's open up the tape, take a look on the inside. So before I open the tape, I'm gonna put on some PPE. There's mold spores in here and I don't want to have any problems with that. N95 mask, glasses, and gloves. So the tools I'm using today are, I've got a power screwdriver. It's not a heavy duty one. I don't want to overpower these screws when I'm putting them back in because it'll break the case. So you can use a handheld screwdriver. I like a power screwdriver. I've got isopropyl alcohol. This is 91%. Some PEC pads, clean pads, lint-free pads. This is just a plastic stylus. It's very helpful. It's for watch repairs. That's where I found it. And it's really good for working inside the tape. Scissors and some tape for splicing if I need it. So let's go ahead and open the tape. Taking the screws out. Can't quite reach the other 3, so those fall out. This label needs to be cut so that I can get the tape apart. It is right down the middle. You want to open the tape with the windows up. There are parts that will fall out if you don't. So there is the inside of the tape. You can see the mold, you can see how bad the tape is itself. So I'm going to take the tape out, and it is stuck in there. It's actually sticking. So the case itself, you can see there's mold around the inside of the tape. Let's go over the parts. These are just, they don't actually roll, they're stationary, but the tape goes around the metal part. When you put them in, they have to go in a certain way. There's a little notch that they have to fit into. That notch is not in the right place. the tape will not be able to close all the way because this will be sticking up and blocking it. That same part is on the other side. Again, these parts will all fall out if you don't open the tape right, and this is where they go. This is actually a roller. The weight piece, it does spin. Over here we have tape release, but on the back of the tape, the case, there's a hole. If you push something through there, it releases these springs, and these lock the tape so it keeps it tight all the time. You don't need to have these in to run the tape. These are just to help keep the tension, but it'll run fine without it. Same with the front gate on a tape. You don't need that gate. It'll run without that, but it does protect the tape from dust and dirt. Okay, I'm going to start with some isopropyl alcohol. Start cleaning up the tape. So my pack pad wet. I'm just going to clean up everything I can touch on the inside here. So kill the spores. I can't get everything, every area of this without immersing it, so it's still not particularly clean, but you can see a lot of dirt's coming off on this pec pad. Clean the spindles. Now I want to clean the inside of these also. And this one has a lot of tape on it, so I can't really get inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pad, I'm actually going to insert it into between the tape and the outside of the spindle, and then on the back side. So I'm going to separate them with my hands. And there we go. Pull it down in. So if I keep pressure on one side and kind of pull, you can see I'm bringing this isopropyl alcohol on this pad is now cleaning the mold. So I'm going to go around a couple of times. This does not damage the tape. Okay, not bad. You can see it's pretty clean. It's never going to be 100%. Some of these spindles, this clear side actually you can rotate and take off. This one is not one of those. Some of these back sides are ribbed, which actually gives less surface area touching the case, so they seem to spin better. This one isn't, so it's not a great spindle, but we're going to try to work with it. If I would have a problem, I would actually replace the spindles, but we're going to try and keep these for now. On this side, we're going to try and clean this tape also. You can see the mold came off pretty well. All right, now I want to do the back side. If it's on the front side, it's probably on the back side as well. Back side is always tougher, it's a little stiffer plastic. And one last clean edge here. I'll try to get down the back side of this. All right, so taking a look at the film, the videotape, not film. You can see we have these clear spaces in between that all need to be cut out, so I'll need to splice. But why that's coming off is of more concern. It means the tape is sticking to itself and pulling that off. And that happens with the age of the tape. It's spinning nicely down here, so I think we're okay. Going back the other way, I'm going to cut this tape. Look at the other side. I can see a little spot there. Another spot right there. Alright, I'm not seeing any more, so let me cut that off. It doesn't feel like the tape is sticking, which is good. It's falling off easily without having to pull it. It should always just fall off on its own. Another test is to pull on the tape. You can see it's spinning. It's actually taking up some of the slack within the reel. And that's a good indication of whether it's a sticky tape or not. Sticky tapes need to be hand wound, and I'll show you how I do that once I splice this back together. Okay, so I have a piece of tape here, and I'm going to splice my two ends together. The easiest way I found is to secure the tape onto the table, both ends. Then I always start with the right side, just because I'm right-handed. About halfway onto the tape. The other side, line it up, a little bit of an overlap. And you can see that's a pretty good splice. There's no light in between the two pieces, and it's pressed down and stuck firmly. Now I need to trim off the tape. Tape out of the way so you don't drop videotape on top of it and cause more trouble. Okay. So the splice, you can see, is right there, and that's a good splice. It'll show up in the video when it's played just for a couple of seconds, and then it'll continue running the tape. All right, so we've got this tape. Since I've got it open, I'm going to check and run it manually. Again, this is a power drill, and I adapted a bit to fit into a VHS tape. I turn them over onto the back side because there's a little bump right here, and they'll spin nicely. If I just put this in, find a nice middle size. So what I'm listening for and watching is if this tape coming off has any problems. If it's sticking, ripping, or the holes in it. If I have a sticky tape and problems, I will run that all the way through both directions. Then that'll mean I can run it through a VCR and it'll play clean. This tape seems to be running okay, so I think it'll play clean in a VCR. All right, so let's put it back into the case. Okay, so the tape is as clean as we can get it. We're going to put it back into the case. If there were any physical damage on the case, I would just replace the case altogether, but I think being cleaned up, this one will work fine. The tape through the two, the white and the silver. And on this side, there's a piece of plastic that helps clean the tape. So go around the roller between the plastic and the metal piece, like that. And you drop it down. So I'm going to pull these springs back to make sure that tape is loaded, and it is in there. This side popped out a little bit, so I'm just going to remove it. Does not need to be in there for the tape to run. It still has one in it. We drop the lid on, flip it over, and screws back in. Don't want to over tighten these, it will break the case. So just getting them snug. And then I inspect to make sure there's no gaps on the edges. Everything's tight. Okay, so that's how we clean our moldy tapes. I've taken off my PPE now, it's safe. Not all the spores are dead, there's still mold in there, and we will run this tape through machines that are only used for moldy tapes. Those are cleaned often and well, and we don't put any other tapes in it, but we get so many moldy tapes now that we just have dedicated machines. We'll digitize them to high def 1080p with pillars, MP4 MOV with H.264 codec. Yeah, they're about 7 gigabytes per hour files. Very good quality. You can't tell the difference between the standard def and the high def. So then we back everything up here for our customers. So again, I'm Gary Stennett from ARS Video and Digitize Archives. Thank you.